Hey there, and welcome back to Tiny Travelers, brought to you by Baby Quip. Today's episode is for anyone who's ever packed 5 just-in-case outfits, 14 pairs of baby socks, and a curling iron you've never even plugged in. Welcome to Tiny Travelers, brought to you by Baby Quip, the family travel podcast where we make traveling with little ones easier, smarter, and more fun. I'm Sarah, a travel-loving mom who knows the joys and chaos of exploring with little ones. Each week, we dive into parent-tested strategies, travel hacks, and honest advice on what really works with kids. So buckle up, grab your travel planner, and let's make your next family adventure unforgettable. Pack light, travel happy. We're diving into the problem with overpacking, how it messes with your mindset, your mobility, and sometimes even your vacation. We're talking to Jara Landon, mom of 3, founder of PoshMom, and queen of juggling it all. She's built a space that's all about streamlining motherhood, and today she's helping us tackle one of the most chaotic parts of parenting, traveling with young kids. Jara, thanks for joining us.
Hi there, Sarah. I love my intro. I just
Oh, good.
couldn't have liked that better. But I love it also because it makes me seem like I'm juggling it all and doing it so well. I mean,
You
are we
are.
ever
What are you talking about? Oh my
are,
God.
are we ever really juggling so well? Not when we maybe miss a pickup on our 9-year-old or
I mean, that's never happened to anybody here.
not in this studio. No,
No,
never here.
not this exact school year, just a couple of weeks ago. Not me.
Not a week ago to the day. But I wasn't going to admit that, but you just bring out the honesty in me.
No, I have that effect on people.
But what I will say is that, when I think about streamlining motherhood, and I love how you put that, and I'm going to use that also in my tagline, because our tagline at PoshMom.com is the juggle is real. But the streamlining of it just helps in the juggle in a way that if you can get everything down to the minimum, it's almost like your desk, right? If your desk is filled with papers, it can seem overwhelming. But in everything in motherhood, pared down to the minimum, including packing for a trip, is so important. I think it's actually most important where overpacking can actually hurt your trip because now you're throwing things around, looking for things. Things are not as available and at hand. You have 5 hats and, you're just banking on one of them being somewhere in the hotel room or at the Airbnb. You're better off having one, making it the best sun hat that your, 5-year-old, your baby, has, and then making sure you know where you put it. And that's just such a piece of advice that I feel like everyone can use. Minimum is better. You think you're being ultra prepared by bringing multiples, but you don't have to bring multiples to be ultra prepared. And I can talk through a little bit more of that.
Oh, fantastic. I have more questions. Don't worry.
Okay.
But don't worry, I come prepared. But for anyone who's new to Posh Mom, maybe never heard of it or has heard of it and been like, what is that? What is it and why did you start it?
So I started PoshMom.com because I felt like there was too much noise, too much information, too many ads. And I said, mothers don't need that. They don't need to buy and return. They don't need to think that they're getting a product that has natural ingredients, but then they read the label and actually it's not. So on every product, we talk about why we love the product. And sometimes we have things that might not be 100% natural because I have a zinc, for example, SPF that is not, but it comes on clear, a zinc protectant. So if you're traveling, it comes on clear. It does have, some chemical makeup, not the worst of the chemicals, but sometimes you need to do that because your kids will not travel and put that sunscreen on. So it's a choice between not putting it on or putting something on that works, right? So we have so many products that are on there that are tested, approved. All of them are tested and approved, but they're on there because we said moms need to know what is the best best baby camera? Or what is the best baby camera to travel with? Basic gist of what we want to accomplish for our mom audience is we want to make sure that we're giving them choices, but that they've all been tested, they've all been approved, they've all been tried out, and that the products say what they do what they say, and that they're not going to have to be disappointed with what they've bought. That they're, I just had a clothing company. The woman said, that got the piece of clothing. She's like, it's not as pictured, but I do love it, so I'm going to keep it. And so now I go back to my vendors and I say, no, you know what? Like maybe you shouldn't be on a model. Maybe just show it in the real world. Like maybe the model thing, people are getting the idea. It's a certain type of. So we're just trying to be as open and honest with our audience. Make sure that the trust factor is there, and make sure that they understand that if they're not happy with something, that's on us, and that's on our vendors, and that's on the people who created the product, and we'll take it back. So that's what we want to make sure, that we're not making their life any more difficult than it already is.
I love that because, we talk a lot on this show, and I mean, moms talk a lot about this in general, about like the mental load. And so if you can just go somewhere where somebody has already done all that work, already done all the testing, the thinking about the ingredients and what is this going to do for me? And is this the right model? And is this the right makeup? And is this going to work for my needs? And all of that has already been done for them. All they have to do is just pick the color and, whatever.
And go with it. And that's the vetting process that we go through. We even have in real life events where we are testing with moms from the community and influencers and saying, hey, does this work? Hey, did you like the taste of that? Did your baby like the taste of that? Like that's a pickier one, right? You might like a cassava chip.
Okay. So you are the person who's helping moms literally with everything, thinking about products and how to streamline their lives and all that kind of thing. But let's talk about travel. How can you help moms rethink travel and what they need to bring?
Okay. So, given the fact that your audience has kids from age, I started traveling with my kids age 3 months. Like, I was always an up and go, up until teenagers. And I want to just say that an overarching theme is the overpacking, and you want to underpack. There's always a little thing of hand wash soap that you can bring. So things can be washed, they can be dried. They don't have to necessarily have access to washer and dryer. You can do that in the sink.
Totally.
That can avoid so much. I think when you're thinking, like, it's funny, my dentist has twins, and I was talking to her about not overpacking, and she's like, oh my God, I love that. She's like, because I have multiples and I don't want to bring multiples. I'm like, well, you have a little bit of a special situation with two, but you want to make sure that you bring the best and the brightest, and what you really want to see your kids, a few things that are just in the rooms, those always a sweat, like you would do a sweatshirt and comfy pants for colder weather, things like that. You want to make sure that you have medicines that you cannot get. You even want to think ahead and do things like, for example, I know that, sometimes my little guy can have ear infections. So I asked my doctor for a prescription, and we carry that, we take that with us just because I don't want to.
So smart. Yeah.
Right? Because even if you're in Florida and you're not in you've traveled someplace that's within the US, you're still going to have to go to an urgent care or get in touch with your doctor.
Where are they? You don't know the system. You might not have a car or, whatever.
And even if you're talking to your doctor at home, invariably the ear infection is going to come out at 4:30 on a Friday. So, that's not going to be good.
Gosh. There was a time in my life when I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and every time we traveled, someone would get a fever. And I'd be like, is this real life? What is going on? So I would just travel with baby Tylenol every time I would go, because somebody would get a fever in the middle of the night. And then you're like, where's the closest drugstore? What am I I don't have a thermometer, that kind of thing. For some reason, babies like to just throw a wrench in your plans.
They like to throw a wrench as soon as you go on vacation, throw up as soon as you go on vacation. They like to do it all to us. So
Throw
we
a
got
wrench
to
and
be
throw up.
right.
Yeah.
And you've just got to be prepared. So I think on the medical side, you have to get that prescription because you know that this is a pattern. You have to do the baby Tylenol or the kids Tylenol. I can't believe you said that because that is something that I keep packed and ready to go. I have two other suggestions that I think are really invaluable or like just like, is it invaluable? Man, maybe.
I don't know.
I haven't
Who
had
knows?
enough coffee
We're not the
today,
grammar
but
police here.
exactly. But one thing is a life hack. I have that on the site. That's a
We have that
travel
at our
life hack.
house too.
Yep, choking device so that, in seconds you can dislodge something because
Mhm.
you do not want to rely on the Heimlich maneuver. There's no reason not to travel with it. I have one right here. I mean, your viewers can't see anyway, but this travel size, I mean, you can see it, Sarah. It is
Mhm.
no bigger than what can we compare it to? This puff package. I
Oh
mean, right?
yeah.
So it's basically the same size. So you want to have something like that. And then I have something else that I bring. I don't carry it on the site, but I will one day soon. I bring a portable carbon monoxide detector. It's
Interesting.
literally the size of a wallet, less like a small wallet,
Mhm.
and I love to have it. Another reason that I loved having one of those is not just for travel, just in case. We went to Greece and none of the houses, and they were like great houses that we rented, none of them had that. And so
Yeah.
other countries do not put a big onus on these health and safety things. So you want to
Sure.
make sure you have that. Another thing, never be embarrassed to be a mom. A friend of mine once said that. I send that little carbon monoxide detector. It's a smoke detector as well. I send that on sleepovers. It's like if you ever had a friend that
Rara,
was
you're
in the
so
police
cute.
department and you heard stories, it's really an imperative thing. That's on the site
Mhm.
as well. By the way, your viewers are going to get 30% off
Ooh,
for the whole month of June. So it's BQ30 for your listeners, I should say,
Mhm.
are going to get a discount of 30% off BQ30 on PoshMom.com. So
Awesome.
shop
So
away,
30,
moms.
30 days after this episode airs, because we're not totally sure when it airs today.
Okay, well, let's do it 30 days from, and
Yeah.
then we'll decide.
Yeah. That way we don't
Perfect. We don't
shorten
exclude
anybody's deal this
anybody.
year.
Exactly. Exactly. We want them to get the benefit, especially for summer travel.
What is something that you never pack anymore?
Hmm. I never pack full size anything.
Mm.
I used to say like, oh, I better put the baby shampoo. I gotta take the whole thing because no, you don't, because you will access some shampoo somewhere that will work if God forbid, there's a
You don't
tornado
have
and
the
you get
noodle and boo
stuck.
shampoo. You'll be okay.
Yes, yes, yes. And I just use a lot less and make sure to, lather. I never want to do full size products because also we stopped doing check. We really do carry on now as
Mhm.
much as we can. It's virtually impossible if you have a lot of baby gear to do that. You're going to have to check. But, my youngest is 9 now, so I'm able to do that. But that was something that was a huge game changer for me. And what I not just on the contrary of what I won't pack, of what I definitely will pack are
Mhm.
some snacks because I find like no matter where you're going, even if you are in the US, then you have an extra stop, right? Then you're looking to actually stop somewhere and say, oh, I got to find what they really like. But bars and puffs and,
Mhm.
I have these like, plantain and cassava chips. That's like the only healthy thing that Austin will eat besides potato chips. So I bring those along, not just for the plane, but because when you travel, you know how we can say, "Oh, I'm hungry."
Right.
I'm going to wait though until dinner time, but you need those in betweens for your
Mhm.
kids so that you actually can
There's
make
no
your
waiting with some kids.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
if you have a hangry kid, you know that there is no waiting. My
That's right.
youngest is a hangry, and when I see that look in his eyes, I'm like, "Oh, no, we have to stop everything. There needs to be a snack immediately or we're all in trouble."
I love how you made hangry a noun. That's awesome. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, he's hangry.
Your youngest is a hangry. I just love
What
it.
what do you think drives moms to overpack? Do you think it's like perfectionism,
Mm,
anxiety,
I
like
think
all of the things that they see on maybe like social media, maybe all of that? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think that there's like a reluctance to repeat outfits, which is almost like our society these days, right? And your kids, the only reason you want to not reuse an outfit is because a popsicle is all over it. And in that case, you want to wash it and, reuse it again. But there's so much to be said for taking 2 to 3, after a long day and a great bath or a great shower, putting them in pajamas, even if you're gone for 7 days, you need 2 pairs of pajamas. That's just the way it is. It's like,
I was just going to say,
um,
you don't need 7 pairs of pajamas
you don't.
because you're not in them very much and it's a
Even
vacation. You can get by,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I mean, ski vacations are something else because but then again, let them sweat, and reuse, and you can, air it out to dry. But
Totally.
when you're doing a warm weather vacation, it's just so easy to not get yourself caught up in the fear of not having enough outfits. You're gonna have enough outfits,
Right.
just you're gonna make it work. And if you have to spot clean something or put it in the sink and clean the entire outfit and put it out to dry, you'll be just fine. There's no
Yeah.
fear. There shouldn't be fear involved in it. It's going to be easy and good, and just lean into vacation mode in that way.
I know. And remember, you're in vacation mode. I remember I packed for Costa Rica and I was like, I'll be changing into all these fabulous outfits every single like change of, dinner, lunch, breakfast, afternoon cocktails. I wore the
No.
same biker shorts and bathing suit the
Right.
entire time. Look, people, you're not going to be a different person on vacation,
That's
right?
right.
So
That's right. It's so
you're
true.
not
It's so
you're not
true.
going to
Don't try
change
to
into Kourtney Kardashian, okay, when you
don't
go
try to
visit grandma in
Don't
Florida.
try to attract the paparazzi. Just go with
Right.
some easy
Just
outfits that don't wrinkle. And I think it's so true. You don't even, depending on what kind of vacation you're going on, I mean, you want to make sure you have like all the baby equipment from Baby Quip because
of
that's your main
course.
stuff, right? Like you got to have
Right?
that.
Don't pack all the baby stuff, just rent it when you get there.
That's right, because then you can not check and you can do carry on, right? But the gist of it is that you want to make sure that your outfits are streamlined. Know that those shorts, t-shirts, belts, daytime outfits, you're probably going to be in a bathing suit and a cover up, and those cover ups are easily reused. So, on the mom side, you want to do that, and you certainly, there's a part of us that like every day we're walking around in athleisure and we're unshowered. So I think we think we're going to go on vacation and, like you said, become another person because we have some time involved now, but we're not. We're not going to want, we're not going to want that.
Oh,
We're not going to want
that
to own
extra
that.
free time, you're not going to be wanting to like
Get
change
ready.
your outfit and get ready for the Grammys. Like you're going to be spending it with your family by the pool and,
Right,
going,
right.
you're going to be doing other stuff
Keep
in
it
the same old
simple.
outfits. It's totally
That's right.
fine.
That's right. I love how
Keep
you
it
said also though you're
simple.
not going to become a different person. Like you really that's the perfect way to say it, Sarah. You're not going to become a different person. If every day all day, you're looking like I am right now and you are right now with a bun and a ponytail and easy outfits, tank tops and well, why on
That's right.
vacation? Why are you putting that pressure on yourself? Don't need it.
Don't put any more pressure on yourself than there already is for serious. We're talking about intentional packing, right? You just don't just throw stuff in a bag because you might need it, right?
Right.
What can help moms feel more in control on trips instead of bringing everything? Maybe, moms feel in control if they're like, okay, have everything and nothing's going to go wrong. But that's not true. So, how can we feel more in control without overpacking?
Well, I think that expectations are everything, right? Like you think it's going to be a perfect trip. I say think more like you're going to get thrown up on the flight and have an extra pair of leggings for yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just do the things like that can really, be prepared for everything to go wrong and have the things that will help you when everything goes wrong. So, whether that's a, big package of wipes, like, yeah, you want to go big or go home on the wipes because you're traveling and there's going to be, right? You want to wipe down the tray table, and you're also going to want to wipe down your baby or your toddler, after the flight, before the flight, before they get home and touch everything in the car. There's certain things you want to go heavy on, but I think if you can just say to yourself, what will be will be. I can't make this. I know it's a week, and I want to make it perfection, and I've spent a lot of money on it, and it's, our whole
Mm-hmm.
family's banking on it. I say actually go with everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and then be pleasantly surprised when it doesn't. So have your medicine, have
Right.
your food, have your wipes, but all of the other and have your equipment, because you do want to make sure that you're able to stroll, and you're able to have a high chair, and you're able to make the comfort level there. But I don't think that you
Mm-hmm.
need the outfits. And I think, the outfits, the skincare, the makeup for us, and then just, everything for kids. I'll never forget, actually, one time I packed 7 sun hats for my 2-year-old daughter. She was 2 at the time. And I didn't bring any underwear on the trip. I had the underwear that I went on the trip with, and that was
Oh
it.
my God.
And it was like, I just, overdid it. I mean, she was
You
2.
just
Why
lose your mind.
lose your
You're like,
mind?
you lose
Lose.
your mind.
And then
It's gone.
another thing I think is so important is not to partial pack. When you decide that it's time to pack, obviously that's going to be for some people, not me, of course, but it's going to be, the night before. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're smart and you can do it days before, that's really the way to do it, and never partial pack. And if there's something that's still in the wash, or something that's not, it has to be bought from CVS or anything like that, mark it down on a list, but don't pack in pieces, because you will never, with all the things that we have on our mind and all the things that we are juggling, you will never remember if you put 4 pairs of shorts in, or 6 pairs, or 2 pairs. Just pack all at one time. Whatever you know is missing,
Mm-hmm.
jot it down, and then go back to it.
That is a great piece of advice. Yes, because if you are scatterbrained like me, you'll put all of your, socks in there, and then no pants. And then all of a
Right.
sudden you get where you're going. You're like, I don't even wear socks. What is this? Oh my gosh. But that's a great, yes, do it all at one time, or do one person one day, one person the next day.
Oh,
Make
I
sure
like that. I
and then
like
you
that,
could do
Sarah.
like one person's laundry and then pack them that day.
It's
I'm just,
true.
it depends on how you like to do things.
No,
But
I like that. I like the one person at a time,
yeah.
especially because it's hard to meld the kids and the adults, because it is such a different need.
Oh my.
So it's nice to concentrate on each kid and then do
Mhm.
yourself, or vice versa. Love that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay. Let's talk fashion a little bit. We've kind of been talking fashion this whole time. What are your rules for packing clothes, especially with kids and maybe with unpredictable weather, while keeping it kind of
Yes.
streamlined?
So that's such a good point, because the unpredictable weather actually strikes fear in my heart. But
It probably strikes
because
fear in a lot of people's hearts.
right. But what I decided to do on that front is that if I'm going somewhere warm weather and thinking that there could be rain or snow, well, highly unlikely, right?
Yeah.
But, not snow, but more like those chilly temperatures where you're like, oh my goodness, like
You're
this
like,
is
it's
miserable.
snowing in Florida. This is so strange. I wasn't expecting
Well,
this.
this is, the weather patterns have been funky, but okay. No, but that's an exaggeration. But that's the thing. You don't want to exaggerate. You definitely want to have a sweatshirt, but you don't need to have a cardigan, a sweatshirt, a button down, bring
Hmm. A
something real
leather
prepared.
jacket, a jean
Right.
jacket. Like, yeah.
Right. A puffer, no, decide on 2 things, and then, you're going to have to reuse. And that's just the way it goes. And I love how you said, Sarah, it's so important to understand. especially when you're in the thick of motherhood and you have, multiple children with you and you're traveling, who needs to act like, like the paparazzi and you're a Kardashian? Thank God you're not. So you
Mm-hmm.
can reuse and repurpose. So, take that sweatshirt, throw it around your waist in case, you're walking and it gets cold, or, maybe there's a nicer version of it later on if it has to go out and you throw it around your shoulders. And,
Mm-hmm.
so choose those items that are going to do some dual purpose, maybe
Right.
day into night, and don't go overboard, but definitely have them. There's nothing worse than not having like a great cozy pair of sweatpants in a hotel room, because you're already
Oh,
not in
definitely.
your own environment and you're already not that comfortable because it's not your space, but you want to
Mhm.
be able to throw on those sweats and, have the downtime. And,
Yeah.
even if somebody's napping, just to like you get comfy and cozy also. And it might be a little too much air conditioning, and, and you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
control it because you don't know the control system. And,
Oh, totally. I
any,
always tell people, just walk through your day and what are you doing with your day? And then what do you need during that? Okay. So, you're obviously wearing underwear, you're wearing a outfit, and then you're wearing some sort of shoe. And what is your baby doing? And at this stage, what do they need? How many diapers usually do they go through during the day? Are you
yes.
going to be driving? Can you get diapers elsewhere so you don't have to pack an entire pack of diapers? Or are you ordering from Baby Quip and they can just bring diapers to your rental for you?
Oh,
Diapers and
such a
wipes. You don't
savior.
even have to pack a huge pack of wipes there.
Oh, love it.
Like,
Yes,
are
yes.
you are you really going to need 17 bathing suits for your 2-year-old? Very cute, but cute at home. Let's just bring one or two, you know?
And yes, and that's why I like to on vacation bring the favorites out, And like, yeah, I think you brought out a great point. Order what you can and ship
Mhm.
there, and rent what you can, so that
Mhm.
it alleviates a whole other bag of worms. Because, if you're going to take your things, not only is it you're looking for travel sizes, it's not comfortable, you're dragging, and and then now you're bogged down in mentally speaking and
Mhm.
physically speaking. I think the physical is actually worse when you travel, because it becomes just such a wreck. You're just such a
Oh my gosh,
wreck when
so
you
tired, and then all the other stuff that you have to lug around.
Oh, it just beats you down. It beats your, really your excitement about
Oh,
vacationing down. It
yeah.
makes you want to not go. So rent as much as you can, ship as much as you can previous to, and then anything that you're bringing, make sure it's your favorite and use it a lot and use it over and over again.
You just have to.
You do.
How do you think bringing less stuff creates more space on vacation for, like, memories or
Well, yeah, the focus, right? I
yeah,
mean, if you're focused on what the physical things are, then you're not in the moment, and you're not
right.
enjoying the time that you have, and that time could be better spent if you're not concerned with how much you're looking great and, it really put together, then and you're focusing on taking pictures and looking well enough and sticking sunglasses and a hat. Oh, never underestimate the power of a baseball hat. That's another thing. Like, just to not have to think about your hair after going in the water with your kids, not having to get ready. I always say there should be something at night, like a night hat that's really like a good looking
Ooh,
baseball
a
hat.
night
So
hat.
you don't even have to do your
Yes.
hair at night, right? But before that's invented and socially accepted, slick your hair back in a bun.
Right?
And, it really does open up so much mental space and so much enjoyment time. I think you're so right. Why bog yourself down with
Mhm.
that when you could be making family memories? I think I made a lot of mistakes as a younger mom, and now I really turned it around, and maybe I look so bad on vacation that I don't take as many pictures, but I take of the kids, so that's a good thing.
No, like, what I kind of have been thinking about this whole time that we're talking is, like, look, if overpacking and bringing 17 outfits for each occasion and matching family outfits and, like, that whole thing is totally your jam and it doesn't stress you out and you love it and you want to bring 7 pieces of luggage on every vacation and that just brings you so much joy. That is so great for you. I love that.
Yeah,
But if it doesn't,
right.
and you need like a little bit of relief from feeling like, okay, I don't want to look picture perfect on vacation, or do I have to? Do my kids need to? Do I have to bring all this stuff? Does it have to be just like home? No.
No.
You can
Yeah,
still have the best time in one bathing suit, in one
that's
pair of jeans, with one skirt, or, kids can wear the same pair of shorts a couple of times on the
yeah.
vacation. You don't have to have it all to enjoy the vacation.
And think about how much work you're making for yourself in the laundry and the folding going in, then
Mm.
the lugging in the
And
airport, then
coming out.
and coming out. And okay, so then now you're out in the hotel, then you're putting it back in to pack up, and then you're thinking, oh well, this is then you have 9 out of 10 things that are clean, but does it actually get separated from the clean and the
Oh my
dirty?
gosh,
If you didn't,
yes.
if your cubes didn't, or whatever, why do all that extra work when you can pare it down? And I really think that the listing, like you're saying, lay it out, understand what your day is, understand what stage your baby's in, understand what stage your toddlers are in, what their real need is, and then take it by half because you just don't have the space mentally or physically to do it. So you'll do just fine, and it's a short period of time. It's not
Right.
forever.
Exactly. I mean, you can do almost anything for a short period of time.
That's
I
right.
have done lots of things for short periods of time. um, you run Posh Mom, which is all about giving moms better tools, better product recommendations, all that kind of stuff. What are your top 3 travel must-haves when
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
keeping it together on the go?
Okay, so I have it here now. This is a Rigwa fresh bowl, and it comes in different sizes. So I'm trying to eat healthy, right? But if
Okay.
I'm going to
Oh,
be,
me too.
yeah, so it's only for really the plane because, obviously you're not bringing enough food for a vacation. But
Sure.
just even starting my vacation not with a hot dog, which I did one day like recently because I was like, I haven't had a hot dog in a really long
I
time.
love a hot dog, let's
Me
be
too. I'm a big hot dog fan. But this Rigwa bowl keeps things hot or cold, and it keeps it like that for hours. So that's something that I love to do for myself. I love to bring
Mhm.
like something really healthy on the plane because I know it's going to be a stressful flight, and I just like to have something good for myself. Then
Yes.
I also bring because if you're if you're like me and you're still thinking health like kids, and this is a Go Pure water filter. Look at what the size of it is. So
Mm.
you go to a hotel and you're buying water bottles, but this is the tiny little capsule that you can put into tap water, and it filters the water of all the PFAS, any microbes. It's an amazing little thing. It happens in 2 minutes. So I love to travel with that. I always have that in the travel bag.
Mhm.
And with kids, it can really run the gamut. So I have things like Snuggle Shield, which goes over car seats and keeps out the germs and the viruses. I think
Mhm.
that's so important. I can't tell you how many times, like, I didn't have this when my kids were babies. And it's so great because you can put it over the stroller, you can put it over the car seat, and especially on the airplane. I know they say that the air is 98% filtered and this and
Mm.
that. But when you're sitting next to somebody who's sneezing and coughing, and then you're like, okay, now there's a one or
Mhm.
2 day incubation period, and somebody in my
We're
family
all
is
gonna
going to
get
get
the
it.
flu on
Right, right. Well, so you can't put it because Snuggle Shield is really just for babies, but it's a good one for your infant because it really is protectant. And it's also great for sleep because, in sun and different weather factors,
Mhm.
you can put it over the carriage or over the stroller or over the baby seat. And it also protects them and helps them to sleep, also creates that sort of dark, nice, yummy sleep
Oh, I love
atmosphere.
a multi-purpose item.
Yeah.
That's what you need for traveling, is all multi-purpose
That's
things.
right. That's right. Hey, I'm going to throw something back at you. What does
Oh, okay.
What does Baby Quip have that do you think is the most important? Is there anything that doesn't fit into the real baby equipment and sort of baby gear that you like that a lot of your purveyors are carrying, or is there
That is
one?
such a good question. Thank you for asking that, Jara. Nobody ever asked me questions on this. Just kidding. I mean, that's what I'm here for,
Those
to ask them.
those selfish guests, they
I
never ask
know.
any.
Why do they want me to ask them all the questions? I'm just kidding. That is a great question. And yes, so all of our quality providers are independent business owners, and they all have their own special niche, which I love. So if you guys don't know, I manage the community of quality providers, which is such a fun job because we have over 3,000 of them, and they all are so amazing and love baby gear and rental stuff and just making vacations magical for traveling families. I could go on, but I won't. But they all have such great gear. So the thing that I think a lot of people don't know about Baby Quip is that it's not just baby stuff. I mean, you can obviously like your cribs, your blackout curtains, stroller, car seats, all that kind of stuff. But if you're traveling with pets, you can get pet crates, you can get pet
Ooh,
strollers, right? Pet
I
car
work with
seats.
you guys and I don't know that, Sarah. Great
I
info.
know.
I
I
love
know.
that.
It's a little known fact. And then, if you're traveling to the beach, you can get all of your beach stuff from our quality providers. So your beach umbrella, your beach wagon, your chairs, your towels, your toys, everything.
Unbelievable.
So you don't have to
Amazing.
pack that. And you don't also have to find a service and have that whole thing.
Great.
Another cool thing is if you're into outdoors or any of that kind of stuff, not me, but I know people are, you can rent hiking backpacks and
Wow.
camping equipment and stuff like that. I mean,
Amazing.
yes. So it goes way beyond baby gear, which I think is
Yeah.
so fun.
So
And
fun.
one other thing that I always tell people about that I think is the best, get a toy package when you rent from Baby Quip because quality providers love toys and the toy packages are unbelievable. I mean, if you've ever seen a picture of a quality provider's toy package, they are magical
That
and
is
kids
so
love them.
amazing because that's what you want. You want no screen time, but
Mhm.
yet you want them to have the things they have at home that are impossible to pack. So that's awesome. I always thought of you guys as just really the big gear. So that's amazing that you provide that for them. And is that I know you guys are not just in the US, right? Do
Mhm.
you
We're
have
all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
amazing. Amazing. All right,
Well,
well,
thanks
back
for
to me.
asking that, Zara. That's so nice. Well, before we wrap up, um, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a mom or a dad or a parent or anybody who's staring at a pile of maybes the night before a trip?
Oh, well, I think you could tell that maybe not back when I was a first time mom, but now that I'm a third time mom, take every one of those maybes and put it back in the closet, put it back, especially also you want to take your toiletries and pare that down to, your absolute basics. I even with Balmex, and I don't want to out my 9-year-old, but he still needs some Balmex sometimes because, you can get a rash and whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
take the tiniest little Amazon bought package and
Totally.
a little travel case and put a dot of it in there. So you do want to have the things and that are not maybes, that are that are going to make life unhappy. If there's a lot
Right.
of swimming and a rash, you want to make sure you include that, but you want to take all the maybes that are dispensable and say bye bye back in the kitchen, in the bathroom cabinet. You go back into the closet and really free up your mind to free up your vacation. That's
Yeah.
the best I can tell you, because you're going to survive if you don't have a face oil and you have a face cream, or
Yeah.
you're going to survive if you just have one baby shampoo that you use on their bodies and their hair. But you don't
That'd be
need
okay.
you don't need the gamut of everything.
Nope. Okay. You don't. You'll be okay. Jar, if our listeners want to know more about you or Posh Mom, where can they find you?
Well, on my Instagram at PoshMom Live, there I would I would love to speak to your listeners, whether they're quality providers or whether they are consumers and renting things from Baby Quip. I would love to hear from them about anything that they want to do with Posh Mom, like become a Mombassador. We have a
Oh,
Mombassador program, so that would be amazing to talk to your women who are sort of the bullhorns of their community
mhm.
already and help to spread the word about Posh Mom and what we're doing over here. And then always on poshmom.com, we have something exciting happening with AI in the next month or so. And we're going to have actual chats so you can engage with our agent who has all the information they need, whether they just need a little support because the day's been long, or they need a product to help them travel well, or they need a product to help them beautify, or something, any need that they have. This AI agent is going to be able to converse with them and give them the best advice and the products. So that's a fun thing. So that's on
That is
poshmom.com.
so awesome. I
Yeah,
can't
we're
wait till that
building.
comes out. I love AI.
I know, me too. It's my friend lately.
Me also. I can't wait to be their queen. Jara, thank you so much for being here and helping us all breathe a little easier when it comes to packing. If this episode gave you a little clarity or the courage to leave that fourth pair of sandals behind, send it to a friend who overpacks just in case. And as always, if packing less sounds dreamy, but you still need all the baby gear when you land, BabyQuip has your back. Rent what you need, skip the stress, and use code TINYTRAVELERS to save $20 off a $100 rental. Links are in the show notes. Until next time, here's to lighter bags and even better trips. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tiny Travelers. I hope today's episode gave you the inspiration and practical tips to make your next family adventure easier, stress-free, and more fun. If you loved today's episode, head over to the show notes for promo codes and exclusive resources to help you plan unforgettable trips with your little ones. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Happy travels, and I'll see you next time.